a whisper in the wind. That is what Sunder is to many people, and what it has slowly become to me. I found myself, like many others, becoming unaware of its existence at all. A small town on the edge of England, forgotten as fast as it was built. It isn't on any map, and you won't find it by exploring. A town older than most, smaller than most, and lonelier than most. I got out 10 years ago, but it seems it hasn't left me. The scream singers have plagued my mind since the day I left. I'll never forget what they took from me, or the part of me I left behind in Sonder. Partly because Sonder has come back to haunt me. On New Year's Eve, the scream singers became more than a memory. They found me. I work in a small office building, 3 floors, and I work on the top floor with a few others in my room. I've been working there for about 6 months. One of the best things is the flexible working arrangements they offer. You can do the usual Monday-Friday work week if you'd like, or you can work Sunday-Thursday. I opted for the latter. The night before New Year's Eve, I was awoken by a familiar sound washing over the cold streets outside. An enchanting whistle to some, but to those with the same trauma as me, it was a blood-curdling shriek. I got up and opened my bedroom window. The sound poured in, as if I had invited this presence into my home. I stood there, not quite knowing how to feel, as terrified as I was. Hearing the siren of the night, something about it was calming. It was as if I was back in my childhood home, a kind of nostalgic horror. Perhaps this nostalgia is why I was so quick to dismiss this event as nothing more than a dream. Or perhaps I just didn't want to accept the true nature of it all. Whatever the reason, it's something I regret. While this may be a nightmare, it most certainly was not a dream. I walked to work the next morning, on New Year's Eve. The streets seemed quieter than normal. I almost felt like I was back in Sonder again. Everything was so peaceful. As I walked into the office building, the door chimed as it always does. Ding ding! You have to slam the door shut for it to catch again. It's a bit broken, and if you don't do this, it'll keep blowing open in the wind, playing that chime over and over. The only other person in the office that day was Davide. He works in the same room as me. Everyone else had booked the day off, or just didn't work Sundays. We ended up chatting a lot, and not getting a lot of work done. He was raised in a city and loves hearing stories about the rural seaside town of Sonder. I only tell him the good memories. The town was on my mind a lot, and I took a look online again to see if it was on any maps yet. I haven't looked since I left. Sure enough, nothing. Untraceable, unfindable. I found a few mentions of the town here and there, but that's it. Just a fleeting thought, spoken about fewer and fewer as time goes on. I spent the last hour of that workday looking for Sonder, until it found me. 4:46 p.m. 14 minutes until we would have left. 14 minutes until we would get to go home and celebrate the new year with our families. That's exactly when we heard the chime again. Ding ding! But the door didn't shut, so we assumed our boss had come in to check on us. Since he's often forgetful, we quickly sat up straight and acted as though we had been working all day. Ding ding! We couldn't hear anybody walking upstairs yet. I thought perhaps it wasn't our boss. But then, who else would it be? Perhaps another co-worker had left something in the office and had come to collect it. Or maybe it was our boss, and he was here to lock up when we leave and not to check on us. Ding ding. The stupid door would not shut up. Even our boss wouldn't leave it this long. Once he realizes it keeps playing the chime, he goes to shut it properly. At this point, I thought maybe a delivery driver dropped the package in and left. It would have explained the silence downstairs. But the silence broke quickly enough for this thought to be dismissed. Ding ding. Footsteps creaking up the stairs. Except they didn't have the right sound to them. They were heavy yet slow. They also didn't have the right pattern to them. It was a footstep, Then 2 quick footsteps, then none, then 3 quick footsteps, then a slow one. They felt less like feet and more like an omnipresent bang getting closer. Ding ding. Me and David looked at each other. I wasn't scared. And he didn't look to be either. We were just both confused and uneased. The constant chime, the irregular thuds, the silence that they both pierced through. None of them created a feeling of contentment. Ding ding. The thuds were loud now, as the final few steps creaked. We were both peering out the door, looking at the stairs to our floor, waiting, hoping to see our boss's head, or a co-worker, or anybody we recognized. But as a figure slowly emerged up the stairs, I realized it was one I knew all too well. Ding ding. As the gray, skinny, morphing creature slowly became visible, my mind raced back to that day in the woods. The day I saw a figure on the rock. Only this time I had nowhere to run. I was sat there, motionless, at my desk. Ding ding. The chime still echoed up the building as the creature slowed down. It stood out in the open room, looking at us. I don't know whether Davide could see it, or whether he saw nothing, much like my brother. But either way, there we were, both frozen. Ding ding. The lights went out. After being sat in front of a monitor for so long, my eyes were not used to this. The deepest of darks had encased me and shrouded the room. Silence filled the air, as the scream singer seemed to stop making noises entirely. But I knew it wasn't gone. It was still there as I tried my hardest to make as little noise as possible. Ding ding. Darkness felt thick, like a blanket. It was as if I could reach out and grab it. Of course, the truth was quite the opposite. Anything could have reached out and grabbed me. I realized at this moment that I could hear something else. My heartbeat. All I could think about was my brother. Jacob was taken from me 10 years ago, and this thing was responsible. Ding ding. A creak in the floorboards. Something was moving. Was it the creature? Was it Davide? It doesn't matter what it was, because the next thing I heard was a scream. Not the tune-like call of a scream singer, but the pain-filled cry of a man. It had gotten Davide, and it wanted me to hear. I know well from my time in Sonder that these things can silently take lives. It had chosen purposely with clear intent to not force silence on this kill. It wanted to torture me, to remind me. It didn't plan to have me dead. It planned to have me terrified. Ding ding. I could hear nothing but dripping. A pitter-patter similar to the rain hitting your window. The lights returned and the scream singer was gone along with Davide. His chair was soaked with blood as a puddle of it was growing on the floor below. I sat there just staring at this chair. I think I felt so scared that I was almost numb to the feeling of it at all. I just sat there. I wasn't thinking, I wasn't moving, I was just sitting. It took me too long to realize this, but the chair was contorting. The number of legs on it kept changing. 2, then 3, then 1, then 4. I don't know if I was seeing things. I would assume I was, if it weren't for what I had witnessed just seconds before. But a morphing chair leaves more questions than it presents answers. By the time the police arrived, the chair was back to normal, if you consider a blood-soaked chair to be normal. I have no doubt they were called in from the scream. They took me to the station and questioned me, of course. I told them everything except for what I had seen. They'd call me crazy, so I told them that the power was cut, and I couldn't see what was happening. I just heard it all. I was being held for a few days, but was released last night. They confirmed that the power did go out briefly in the area and suspected that it had been tampered with intentionally. I don't know if they've checked CCTV, and I'm not sure what it would have even captured. I just know that I'm no longer the top suspect, although I would assume they're still keeping a close eye on me. David was a good man, and the first life I know of to be claimed by the scream singers outside of Sonder. But I keep thinking, what if there have been more? What if he isn't the first? A thought even more worrying. Will he be the last? The scream singers are now out and free. So many questions, and I suspect all of the answers lay within Sonder. Perhaps it's time I go back.